was pretty interesting. We had a lot of different activities, especially pertaining to ransomware. So Iowa Farm Services, new cooperative, was hit with BlackMatter ransomware, and they're demanding a $5.9 million ransom. This is also in the same timeline where Crystal Valley was hit by another ransomware group. So what do you guys think about this?
I think there's been a lot of services that have not hitherto been labeled critical infrastructure that we are now finding out are critical infrastructure. I would see this as going after soft infrastructure. It's not the same as taking out the grid for a city, but it's how many different agricultural services, American agricultural services, can go down before the pipeline is negatively affected the same way Colonial Pipeline was affected.
Mm-hmm.
I find this interesting in that ransomware gangs have said we're not going to attack critical infrastructure, but I think it was BlackMatter that said specifically for new cooperative, yeah, they're too small to be labeled critical, so they're fair game.
It is surprising because they are small. I also wouldn't expect them to be a target because maybe I'm naive, but I'm not thinking that computers play a big part in the Iowan farm pipeline. I guess logistics.
Well,
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. From what I read, looking at things, I think it wasn't just what we think of as an endpoint, right? They're like a lot of their other connected machinery was impacted.
Oh, did this do?
It's an IoT problem.
Was this actual farming infrastructure? Like, what are the?
Yeah, they were not able to provide like pork, grain, chicken, and like the Crystal Valley one, you couldn't use any debit cards or credit cards.
Like the automated
Right. So
feeders.
the POS makes sense,
Mhm.
but if this actually hit infrastructure
So
devices, that would be very
Yeah,
good.
it seems like they're playing an interesting game of how badly could I hurt you before it's an act of war?
Yeah.
And going after farming and other soft infrastructure is part of that game.
I have a different question about this breach. Who is BlackMatter? Because ReEvil's back, right? So is BlackMatter ReEvil, or is it some of ReEvil? Is this also
A
ReEvil?
lot of partnerships go south.
Is
a lot
this-
of bands break up.
Fringe ReEvil splinter group?
ReEvil's ex-girlfriend.
Is this the ISIS K of ReEvil? Like what is BlackMatter? Like we need to know for ransomware Batman purposes.
Not that we know him or her.
What do you think, Miguel?
I'm still a little puzzled about the amount that they are asking for. 5.9 million, did I get it right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, why not 6?
It was probably based on a certain number of Bitcoin, right? So it was probably like at the time 50 Bitcoin or something like that.
Oh, so at the time it might have amount to 5.9. That's why the weird number.
Yeah.
Okay,
Miguel, there's
yeah.
Miguel, there's an Excel spreadsheet that ransomware gangs use to figure out the formula for this stuff, number of employees, revenue, and stuff like that. It's all an algorithm, Miguel.
That would make sense in a real weird way, but that would make sense.
Because consumer is really like 5.95 rather than 6. It sounds like a smaller amount. So.
Of course, 6 would be a lot. 5.9, it's manageable.
Yeah, it's just pricing economics.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we only had a 5.9 million ransom. That's
Yeah. 6
like
would be scary.
99-cent meal.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Let's not lose fact of this. That is 5.9 million, yet BlackMatter says they're small. So the definition of small and infrastructure is very fluid with these ransomware gangs.
We saw a multi-million-dollar ransom from a school district, so it's just weird. Just weird. It's just dependent on what they have access to, how they're feeling at the time. It's crazy.
Yeah. don't give too much credence to these promises that they won't attack critical infrastructure is basically the key.
That's,
We all
that's
have to understand.
trying to avoid a political incident. I mean, let's call it what it is. There's a blanket pronouncement that came down from the Russian government that says, fuck with whoever you want, as long as you're not making a problem for us and it's not a Russian-backed business. And any act of war is creating some, a problem that the government has to get involved in. And so that's why they want to fly under the radar. This is not a good Samaritanism. This is just trying to avoid problems for themselves.
Exactly.
I would say the flying under the radar ship sailed a long time ago. I mean, if you are doing ransomware, really we are not flying under the radar.
That was before they hit bacon. Don't mess with bacon. Bacon.